ValveTime.net.
Hi, and welcome to a very special ValveTime Spotlight episode. As we mentioned during our most recent News Roundup episode, our very own writer and video editor, Nick, was lucky enough to attend a PlayHubs hosted virtual reality game jam in London, which took place this past weekend. We're going to use this episode to dig deep into the event and the Aperture VR Demo, which was shown alongside the other GDC demos and a selection of game prototypes created over the course of 36 hours by various developers participating in the game jam. Before we get into the full playthrough of the Aperture demo, yes, full playthrough, let's start by providing some context as we set the scene. After a brief visit and preview of the Aperture VR demo on Saturday, Nick returned to attend the event's concluding show and tell segment on Monday evening, which featured short talks from various developers participating in the jam alongside a few words from the organizers of the event and Valve's own Chet Faliszek. Following the short introduction, Chet more or less demanded everyone go and play with the 3 HTC Vive kits currently set up on site, joking that was not a request to one developer in particular. While Nick got to experience some pretty amazing demos during the 4-hour event, we're going to be talking about those in a separate video so we can focus on the Aperture one for the time being. Since all of the Aperture demo's audio is sent directly through a headset to the player wearing the HTC Vive, the footage we're about to show you doesn't feature any of the in-game sound or voiceovers, which really helps sell the experience. While we are planning to upload a full uncut playthrough of the demo with music edited over the top, we'll be providing running commentary over the whole thing to keep you informed about what the playtester is hearing or being shown. There are one or two more things we should quickly point out before we move on to the demo. For starters, the footage we're about to show you was recorded off a small monitor using a smartphone with an average camera, while Nick rather uncomfortably kneeled on the floor, so the quality of the video certainly isn't going to do any justice to the demo or the assets used within it. The footage we'll be showing off is also a recording of an unknown player present at the game jam, so we can't really show you the way Nick explored and examined the environment's details, meaning you'll just have to take our word for it regarding a few of the finer points. And here's one final warning before we start: watching the following playthrough will most likely damage your own initial experience of the Aperture demo in one way or another, so don't say we didn't warn you. Anyway, we babbled enough, so let's get on with it and roll the virtual tape. After starting up the demo and waiting for a short brown loading screen to pass, the screen fades in to reveal a small room filled with numerous pieces of equipment, including servers, robot parts, scale models, and windows to other rooms and areas of the Aperture Science facility. The player is allowed to freely explore the small room at will and in 360 degrees for the entire duration of the demo, but they must follow the specific scripted instructions in order to advance. After several seconds, the voice of the Aperture Science announcement system from Portal 2 can be heard, introducing the player to the robot repair facility they currently find themselves in. The player is then instructed to charge their Aperture brand devices in the glowing blue receptacle on the desk, effectively teaching them how to move the controllers around in virtual space in a realistic manner. A series of 3 drawers must then be opened, with the player able to open them in any order they wish. Opening the first drawer reveals some blueprints for Atlas alongside numerous other tools and stationery, including what appears to be a weighted storage cube eraser. Opening the second drawer reveals a single solitary slice of rotten cake stained by dirty blue mold, mirroring the state of the cake is a lie joke circa early 2008. The third drawer is by far the most interesting, revealing a tiered miniature office filled with tiny equipment and a bunch of bendy stick figures seen throughout the Portal series promotional material. After a few seconds, a lone Bendy sitting on a bench at the top of the office notices the player and begins to panic, alerting the others and sending the room into absolute chaos as desks, filing cabinets, and computers are sent flying. The announcer then describes the player as having been recognized as the Bendy's new god, before then prompting them to close the drawer once more. After the drawers are locked for good, the player is told to move towards a lever on the opposite side of the repair room. Upon pulling the lever, a large pair of double doors slides 1/3 of the way open, revealing a clearly very damaged Atlas stumbling towards the room with a magazine-reading Peabody sitting patiently in a detailed waiting room beyond. As Atlas approaches, the doors open fully and allow him to enter, with sparks flying as he practically drags himself inside. Two large cranes then descend from the ceiling and lift Atlas off the ground, enabling a sort of holographic debug mode before the player is told to grab the front of his spherical head and drag it outwards, revealing the multitude of components within. After enabling the robot repair sequence by pushing a button on the side of the head, each part begins to spin, prompting the player to grab one of the 2 yellow icons in order to examine the setup as closely as they can, or to goof off and see how fast they can spin it. The red flashing you are currently seeing is a problem only seen when relaying the footage to a monitor and is not experienced at all by the wearer of the headset. During this time, the announcer tells the player they have 60 seconds to repair Atlas, something which later proves an impossible task. As always, the player is able to move around the room at will and examine fine details at extremely close range, including numbers on a couple of dials and text on cabinets and the holograms accompanying Atlas. Once the 60 seconds are up and the announcer has stopped making quips about the player's increased heart rate due to the stress of the situation, the system automatically shuts down, dropping Atlas's sphere to the ground in a rather spectacular display. Aperture's staple panels are then revealed as the floor opens up below the fragmented machinery, dropping them into the abyss below. As the floor is replaced and the far wall is removed and taken away, Atlas's repair chassis is disconnected, with his headless body regaining control and panicking before stumbling between the testing track rails below. Several seconds later, GLaDOS swings down from an opening and confronts the player, asking how a robot can mess up such a simple repair task before realizing they are, in fact, human. With GLaDOS being GLaDOS, she reacts as well as you might expect, insulting the player once more before the entire robot facility is dismantled from around them, the containers and panels forming the walls and ceilings being lifted away by cranes. With hundreds of feet below, the player is left to helplessly look around and explore what remains of the room, while the robot arms return to construct a test chamber where the old walls once stood. Like the robot repair sequence, this segment is rather long and deliberately drawn out, giving you plenty of time to spin around and stare at the vast expanse of Aperture beyond. This particular room appears as something of a best of Aperture montage, merging many of Portal 2's most memorable environmental styles together, with offices, test chambers, relaxation vaults, and even enrichment spheres all crammed together to create a really effective sense of space. Once the test chamber is complete, a lone weighted storage cube will gently fly towards a button before a trio of crushers destroy the room ahead in explosive detail as they approach the player, with the screen suddenly turning black to signify the end of the 5 or so minute demo. As you probably got a small taste of here, the Aperture VR demo is absolutely phenomenal, brilliantly previewing what the HTC Vive brings to the table and how the different tech Valve are looking to use elevates the experience virtual reality can provide beyond merely sitting with a box strapped to your face. Even though it's likely to be a good while before most people get their hands on the Aperture demo, trust us when we say it'll be worth the wait. We should reiterate that this kind of video and the footage we're using doesn't even come close to selling the level of quality on display, which is something we'll be going into a little more closely in another video set to release sometime within the next week. We'll also be releasing a companion video alongside this one, which will feature the Aperture VR demo footage without any kind of commentary. Feel free to head on over to that video or to share it with your friends if you don't think they'd be all that interested in listening to our play-by-play. For now, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch TV, to check out our other content, and to join the conversation over on the ValveTime.net community forums. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.